Morning everyone. Today we'll take a look at one more topic from your essay paper, and the topic that we'll take a look at today is this one over here, number 3. History is a series of victories won by the scientific man over the romantic man. But again, before I begin, very briefly, the 8-para essay here at Vajiram, divided into 4 points. 4 types of paragraphs that you're writing. The first is the introduction. Give a brief preview of your essay. Explain to the examiner. Let him understand what exactly or how exactly your essay will flow. Second is body paragraph number 1. Here what do you do? Most importantly, your interpretation, your take on the topic. After that, 5 body paragraphs. In each body paragraph, present a different perspective, different dimension, and finally a conclusion for a last reinforcement, last relook at the topic. But without delay, let me more importantly look at this topic for today. History is a series of victories won by the scientific man over the romantic man. Now, in a topic like this, the first thing that is required is that you interpret the topic correctly. In the last few days, I've got some emails where students were asking me, is it important for us to attribute this quotation to someone? The answer is no. Whether a person called Gandhi makes a statement, whether a person called Vivekanand makes a statement, whether Lincoln makes a statement, the attribution of the quote is not important. The correct understanding of the quote, correlating it with the world around you today in as many different perspectives as you can, that is what matters more. And for this correlation, for this connection, what is very important is that you interpret the topic correctly. Now, again, students are writing emails. Some of them have told me, can you please check my essays? And honestly, it's not possible to do that. There's so many people. But some of them have written essays on this topic also. History is a series of victories of the scientific man over the romantic man. What are they doing? They are trying to prove the fact that in reality, in essence, the scientific man does get an advantage over the romantic man. And that could be a fatal mistake. Over here, before I move to any other part, one small thing understand. My drawing is not very good, so you'll have to make do with this now. I'm sure you understand the concept of what we call yin and yang. That in the middle of a lot of good, there can be a little bad. In the middle of a lot of bad, there can be a little good. Similarly, when we say scientific man and romantic man, we are not comparing two people. We are not comparing two different classes of people. We are talking about the same individual. Within every, again I'm telling you, in the essay paper, you borrow very heavily and a lot from the ethics paper. In ethics, for example, we ask, if you want to talk about any person, is this person courageous or cowardly? Within each of us, there are circumstances which will force courage to come out. There are other circumstances where we might not be as courageous as we would want to be. Similarly, within every single individual, there is a little bit of a scientific temperament and there is also a little bit of a romantic streak. If a person wants to achieve something significant, wants to achieve something historical, remarkable, worth remembering, both these elements, both these perspectives will have to work simultaneously. When we say history is a series of victories by the scientific man over the romantic man, you don't have to prove that being scientific is better than being romantic. In some circumstances, the opposite could be true. And in most circumstances, the two are mutually complementary, mutually supplementary in nature. How do you interpret this topic correctly? For a topic like this, the first question that we ask is, what does the scientific man and what does the scientific man and what does the romantic man signify? What does it imply, these two terms? When we use the word scientific, what does that signify? A scientific man is someone who is practical, someone who's rational, someone who believes in empirical evidence, someone who believes in proving something. On the other hand, who is a romantic? A romantic is someone who is idealistic. A romantic is someone who is a dreamer, a visionary, someone who relies not as much on facts as this person would rely probably on emotions. That's the scientific man, this is the romantic man. More important question here, how are these two related to each other? Because within each person, there exists a scientific man and there exists a romantic man. The romantic man, the dreamer, the visionary, the emotional person, this person creates for us the dream, fixes for us, defines for us the ends that we are trying to achieve. On the other hand, the scientist in each one of us provides the tools, provides the means through which these dreams are to be achieved. If I am purely scientific, There are many things I will not be able to envision, many things I will not be able to imagine. If I'm purely a visionary, purely a dreamer, I may dream of the greatest of things, but I don't have the ability, I don't have the tools to be able to achieve them. Which is why the two will have to go hand in hand. And this we understand in the third part. Who is more important? Both are equally important. Both are equally, they are mutually complementary, mutually supplementary. They both have a certain role to play, and depending upon the role, both of them will, I can't say can coexist, but should coexist. What is their task? Dreams cannot fulfill themselves. No matter what dream, no matter what vision you have, what goals you have, you cannot achieve them unless and until you have a scientific method. And this method that you have, and when we say scientific, it does not necessarily have to be something that is based on pure science. It could be something as simple as having a plan. Something as simple. What do we call the difference between dreams and ambition? That ambition is dreams with a certain degree of discipline, with a certain plan, with a certain strategy. But that strategy is of very little use, is of no use unless and until it is working towards a dream that we want to achieve. This is why we say again that both of them are mutually supplementary. It is not a victory of one over the other. Rather, history celebrates those people who had a vision and who had the discipline, who had the ability to work on achieving that vision. One, that's your interpretation. And this interpretation you will write in body paragraph number 1. Then comes your introduction and your conclusion. Now, in the introduction, what can you write? In the introduction, for example, first person that I can talk about over here is a person called Mahatma Gandhi. For Gandhi, what is the romantic vision that he has? The romantic vision, the emotional vision, the very idealistic vision that it is possible to defeat the British Empire. And this is an empire on whom the sun never sets. It is possible to defeat the British Empire by using non-violence. That is his dream. Gandhi understands that on the basis of economic might, on the basis of military might, we might not be able to defeat the British, but we can use non-violence. That's my dream. How do I make that dream a reality? Here, I will need a scientific method. And what does Gandhi do? Gandhi now spends considerable time in South Africa at Tolstoy farm, his ashram, refining the principles of ahimsa and satyagraha. Starting with small groups, he starts experimenting and he starts understanding on the basis of the social experiments how the same principles can be used on a mass scale. Here is the romantic, there is the scientist, and if Gandhi today gets a majority of the credit for India's independence, it is because both of them, both elements within him were working in complement to each other. This is why we say that we don't choose one over the other. Both of them should mutually coexist. They should work in harmony. Another example you can use, another content you can use for the introduction or the conclusion is a person called Jeff Bezos. Now, which company has he founded? Have I written that here? No. Now that, of course, I know everyone will know about is a company called Amazon. What is Jeff Bezos' dream? What's his basic dream? His basic dream is to ensure, that's how he starts, that it should be easy to find the book that you want to read. If I look at the world before we had e-commerce, before we had online platforms for these kind of products, if I want a book to read and I go to a typical average bookstore, high probability I will not find it. So Jeff Bezos now comes up with the idea, what if we have a central storehouse where all these books are stored at one central place, or most of them are stored there. When you search for a title, any book that you want, you'll find it easily. Depending upon how far you are, it might take 3 days, 5 days, 7 days to deliver the book to your house, but your book you will certainly get. From there, this saves us a lot on operational costs, saves a lot on logistics, saves a lot on store and so on. Now, when Jeff Bezos starts this plan, that's his romantic vision. Anyone in the world should get any book that they want to read easily. But what method does he use? He develops an online platform. And over a period of time, the same online platform expands from books to almost anything that a person can want to buy. Again, the two are working in harmony. Similarly, a person whose example you can take here is a person called Oskar Schindler. What is Oskar Schindler? Now, who is Oskar Schindler? I think I've used this example earlier also. Oskar Schindler is a man, and this is what I tell the students, this is an example you can use in almost every essay that is asked. Oskar Schindler is a German. He is living in Germany when the Nazis take power. Oscar Schindler is an industrialist, earns a lot of money, but very soon he realizes that what the Nazis are doing with the Jews is absolutely unacceptable. So what does he do? His romantic vision, his dream is to save Jews from extermination at the hands of the Nazis. And what plan, what strategy, what scientific method does he use? He starts employing Jews in his factory. In the factory, he provides him with basics, provides him with food, provides him with shelter, provides him with clothing. Most importantly, provides him with security against Nazis and their persecution. As a result of which, he is able to prevent 1200 Jews from getting deported to concentration camps where almost certainly they would have been killed. And again, the two are working hand in hand. Another person that we can talk about here, and I'm sure that many people would be following him also, is a very famous footballer called Lionel Messi. Now, Messi, when he was small, since he was small, he had a dream of becoming a world famous footballer. That's his dream, that's his vision, that's his ambition. But Messi was unusually small for his age. He was smaller than most footballers. Now he realizes that he needs to grow in size for any football team to consider him seriously. So what does he do? Just two things. Number one, from a very young age, he starts taking growth hormones. And second, he follows a very rigid discipline. And today is known as one of the most prominent. History is a series of victories, and that is a personal victory that this person establishes for you. Which is why we say that history is a series of victories, not over of the romantic over the, or not of the scientific over the romantic man, but rather where both of them are able to work together. Now here let me take a small pause. Someone or the other will always have the question, do I have the ability, do I have the freedom, the independence to interpret the topic in my way? The answer always is yes. Just because a statement is given to you does not mean that the statement has to be taken as it is. However, most of, and by most I would say out of 10 topics that the UPSC gives, I think about one or two would be these kind of topics. Otherwise, in most of them, you end up agreeing with the topic. The statements are not always open for disagreement. Now, this is your introduction and conclusion. What else can you write over here? In your body paragraphs, there were 4 points given here. Let me add another 4 here. And wherever you want to use them, you can keep using them depending upon your placement. Here you can also talk about a person called Abraham Lincoln. What is his romantic vision? The abolition of slavery. And why do we say this is romantic, this is idealistic, this is, more of a dream? Because it would be very difficult to do away with an institution which, although wrong, was very strongly supported by the richer, more powerful, more influential section of the US at that time. But what method does he use? A very simple and very, very smart way of the Emancipation Proclamation. When Abraham Lincoln introduces the proclamation, he knows that states will have to support them. If they don't support him, it is political suicide. This is the time of the American Civil War also. And if they support him instantly and immediately, he is able to achieve that. That dream, that vision of abolishing slavery. The romantic in him is supported by the scientist within him, where you have a clear plan, a clear strategy to achieve that vision. Similarly, from India again is the very famous example of Dashrath Manjhi. In the state of Bihar, Dashrath Manjhi loses his wife. His wife dies because she falls unwell and they're not able to reach the hospital in time because there's a mountain in between. I'm sure you know about him, the mountain man of India. His vision, and almost impossible vision, romantic vision, is to cut a road through the mountain. Cut the entire mountain by himself. And what tool does he use? Very simply, relentless labor. Dashrath Manjhi understands what many students in class don't seem to understand. They say that, if you want to achieve something, why is it taking a lot of time? Because anything remarkable, anything that will become a part of history is not going to be easy and instant to achieve. It requires relentless labor, back-breaking labor, and that is a very simple tool that he uses. In contrast to Dashrath Manjhi is a person called Bill Gates. What is his vision? To ensure that every person has a computer, a PC as they called it at that time, in their house. Please understand, very simply I can write 2 alphabets here, personal computer. But if I take you back in the world by about 30 years to the early 90s or maybe in the mid 90s, at that point in time, having a personal computer was almost unheard of. You could find computers in universities, you could find computers in laboratories, you could find computers in the government. But it was very rare, very uncommon to find a computer in a person's house, a personal computer. But how does Bill Gates make this possible? That's his dream. And that's why for a very long time, he's been the richest man in the world. Why? Simple tool that he uses, that we should have an operating system, a graphic operating system that is easy to use, and that takes the form of MS-DOS. The simple scientific method that he develops there enables him to achieve that dream. Again, reinforcing the fact that both of them are mutually supplementary to each other. One final piece of content here is this lady that we talked about earlier also, Chanda Zaveri. In one of the earlier videos, I don't remember which one, we talked about her also. What is her dream? Instead of getting married and settling down in a family that her parents might have chosen for her, she wants, what is her vision? Financial independence, personal independence, the liberty to live life according to your terms. And what tools does she use? Number one, completes her education by going to Harvard, by going to Caltech. And number two, starts her own business venture. And when she starts this simple strategy, number one, finish your education. Number two, start your own venture, enables her to create a company which today is worth 800 crores. Again, emphasizing that if history remembers you, if history celebrates any of these people, it is because in each one of these people, the romantic in them and the scientist in them were able to work together, were able to work in mutual harmony. Simple topic, simple content, and I don't think it should be difficult to write this topic, write this essay, as long as your interpretation of the topic was correct. This is where we'll take a pause for now. Beyond this, then another topic we'll discuss in a subsequent video. Thank you.